This morning we have introductory talk by Carol Boudreau. And Carol first went to the South Florida Zen group in 2008 and has been practicing ever since. And Carol was on the board and was the treasurer for 10 years. She became a Dharma teacher in 2014. Carol and her husband Don moved back to Massachusetts in February of 2021. Wow. That almost seems like yesterday. And transferred all of their membership to the Providence Zen Center. Carol has served on the Board of Trustees for PZC and was elected treasurer and subsequently secretary. She stepped down this past March, and Carol became a senior Dharma teacher in April of 2023, and she is currently our Pagoda gift manager. And then answering questions today is Dae An. And let me get to her all the way coming from Europe. And Dae An is down here for this week to lead our KUSZ, and it's wonderful to have her here. And Zen Master Dae An, Bogumila Malinowska, is that correct? Did I get it right? Malinowska? She's a guiding teacher at the London Zen Centre and lives in London, and she teaches in UK and abroad, and has set long Zen retreats regularly. She was born in northwest Poland and met Zen Master Wu Bong there in 1981. In 1988, she did a 100-day solo retreat. She then led Zen groups in Pila and Poznan from 1985 to 2003. After postgraduate teacher training, she worked professionally as a language teacher at high schools in northern Poland, and then as a youth center manager with youngsters with challenging behavior. She is a licensed counselor, psychotherapist in private practice in North London, and she's registered at the British Association of Counselor and Psychotherapists. She works as a speaker for Multi-Faith, the Faith and Belief Forum organization dedicated to diversity in UK. In 2005, she established London Zen Centre 2 years after moving to UK with the spiritual support of Zen Master Wu Bong. She received Inka from Zen Master Wu Bong in September 2009 at the Warsaw Zen Centre, Bong Sa. She works in the Council of Quantum School of Zen Europe. She is also a teacher at KUSZ's online sangha since January 2018. Bogumila received transmission from Zen Master Ji Kwang on June 15, 2024, and was given the Zen Master title Zen Master Dae An. Thank you.
Congratulations on Zen Master. Good morning, everybody. So my name is Carol, and as Richard said, I moved back to Massachusetts February of 21. So it's been over 3 years that I've been back, and I still enjoy the spring. You know, I lived in Florida for almost 30 years, and all the years that I lived in Massachusetts, I took spring for granted. And then we moved here in February, and I moved into my new house, and I actually called my cousin whose husband is a landscaper. I said, could you please come over and tell me what's alive and what's dead? Because to me, everything looked dead. And actually, the people who owned our house before me did an incredible job. And something blooms in my yard from the beginning of spring all the way until the end of October. And so nothing was dead. But, you know, I just didn't know. So, you know, I had lived in Florida, I think 28 years, and just everything is always the same. It just rains, it's hot, or the weather's nice. I mean, that's it. Here, you know, people used to say to me, do you miss the seasons? And I would be, no, but I would never move back there. I enjoy every single season here. So if you've never lived anywhere else, just stop in the spring and it's a miracle. Truly, it's a miracle. So what I want to talk about today is 4 great vows. They're on the back of our chanting book. If you have come here in the morning to do morning practice, you would have heard them, or if you have done a retreat, you would hear them. But if you just come here on Sundays and Wednesdays, you'll never hear them. And that was a surprise to me when I moved here. And because in South Florida, the way that the teacher set up the practice was on Saturday mornings we would do our sitting, and then we would do the chants. And so we finished chanting at the time that the practice was over. We had these books in our hand, and so we could read the Four Great Vows. And so I didn't realize that that was a different way of doing it, because that was all I knew at the time. And then when I came up here to retreats, and I didn't really sit in here and practice, I didn't really realize that when you did practice here at night, you didn't end with the Four Great Vows. Well, it was because you didn't have the book in your hand, and a lot of people don't know the Four Great Vows. And so I realized that what had happened is my husband and I started practicing in 2008, and we weren't practicing very long when some of our friends were like, "What's different about you guys?" And we didn't see anything different, but I guess they did. And so we told them, "Oh, about 3 months now we've been doing this Zen practice, and so can we come?" And it was, "Of course you can come." So they started coming. And so there was 4 of us, and we just came all the time. And the teacher at the time was a Dharma teacher. And so we didn't have senior Dharma teachers. We didn't have Zen Master or J.D. Pop, so we didn't have any of that. And I think that we had been going maybe for a little while when they decided to maybe try to do interviews with the teacher in New York, Richard Schroeb, Zen Master Wu Bong. But before that, the only time you ever got an interview was when you went went to a retreat. And I think the teacher saw with the 4 of us strong practitioners that we were going to just keep coming back. And so I think he changed the way that we did the practice. So we would have to read these twice a week, on Wednesday night and on Saturday at our practice. And so I know them by heart. And I miss saying them at the beginning, at the end of every practice. So I say them at home. So anyways, if you've never heard them, they're on the back of this book, the Four Great Vows. So sentient beings are numberless, we vow to save them all. Delusions are endless, we vow to cut through them all. The teachings are infinite, we vow to learn them all. The Buddha way is inconceivable, we vow to attain it. If you've never heard that, you're like, what? That's what I said. What? What do you mean I'm vowing to do this? I'm vowing to save all sentient beings? I'm vowing to cut through all my delusions? I'm vowing to learn all the teachings? And that I'm trying to attain the Buddha way? Impossible. Impossible. I remember one of the Dharma talks in Florida, we had a fairly new practitioner, and she had been a Catholic nun. And to her, vows were like sacred. And she was just shocked. She was like, how can you do this? How can you even say that? She says, it's just absolutely an impossible thing. And the teacher, answered her. And I wish I could actually remember exactly his answer. I don't. So what I did, I decided this morning, I changed what I was going to talk to you about. So this morning I got up and I started looking up things because I really decided I wanted to talk about the Four Great Vows because I just, think a lot of people have never heard them, and then when you hear them, you don't even know what they mean. So I found a really quick statement by Zen Master Bong Sa. I don't ever pronounce these names correctly, so please forgive me. It's Jeff KUSZ. He's the abbot in Empty Gate Zen Center in San Francisco. And it seems like whenever I try to do a talk and I want to look something up, Jeff KUSZ. So if you've never heard of him, he has a lot of stuff on YouTube. He's excellent. Zen Master Bong, B-O-N, wrong one. Yeah, that's right, S-O-E-N-G. So Jeff KUSZ. So Zen Master Bong Sa, on his talk on this topic, explained that the first vow helps us orient our practice towards helping others and letting go of our own self-grasping, and also to teach us that we're not separate from others. He quoted his teacher, which his teacher was Zen Master Sung Sung, as saying, for me, suffering appears for all beings, and then no suffering. The next two vows are about us, cutting through each delusion as it arises every moment. Instead of seeing the world through a colored lens of delusions, we fully enter each moment, each Dharma gate, without grasping what we like or rejecting what we don't like, but instead completely engaging in whatever is happening in this now moment. So that's really all we have, is this now moment. You know, people say, oh, you know, I'll do it tomorrow. Well, you can plan for tomorrow, but, you know, you don't know if that's going to happen. So I have been experiencing lately, like in the last 5 years, death in my family, and I've been present for now 3 deaths. And you know, a person's breathing, and they're breathing, and then all of a sudden, the next breath just doesn't come. You know, well, actually, that's for my husband's mother. That was several years ago. That was the first time. My stepdad, my stepmom, and just in this past February, my brother. My brother was very unique. He was the oldest, and everybody always thought he was the youngest, which really pissed my sister off because she was 10 years younger than him. And on his deathbed, this is a true story, they called us in and said, you know, you better come in today because, you know, we think this is the last day. And it was my brother's birthday. And we were talking about it, and the nurse said, oh, how old is he? And I said, well, he'd be 80 today. She looked at him and she said, oh my God, I thought he was a much younger man. I thought he was 60. And I went, even on his deathbed? You know? And my sister was like, so, you know, it's just kind of a funny story. But you know, he didn't want to grow old. So he died when he was 80, and for him, that was fine. I'm 76. 80 doesn't seem fine to me. So I don't know about that. But anyways, I digress. So we don't want to grasp onto things, but instead we want to engage in what's happening right now, because this is what we have, is right here, right now, this moment. And then we need to recognize that we don't have all the answers. So not knowing, you know, we just don't know. When we drop the self and enter each moment fully, we open up to the world and everything enlightens us. And then the last vow is saying that we should break free of concepts, because concepts make smaller the vastness that there is. If we try to shape the world to fit our own conceptual understanding, we've lost the path. Putting it all together, he said the practice is oriented towards aliveness, awareness, and actions. It's about an energy and commitment to show up and help in each moment. We do this over and over and over again. We are being Buddha and living the life of a bodhisattva. Infinite in space and time is not something in the future or somewhere else. Instead, it is simply right here, right now. So these four great vows sound like they're impossible. But the idea is just to show up and to help the next person you see if they need help. And that includes yourself. You know, we say we're not separate, okay? But if I'm not okay with me, then how can I help you? And if I'm not okay with me, what am I bringing into the world and into my interactions with all of you? So, you know, that's why we sit, I believe, or that's why I sit. I don't know why you sit, but for me, it's really to get to know who I am and to be comfortable with me and to be okay with me, so that if a need arises and I see it, then I can help. But I'm going to notice it. Whereas if I'm not okay with me, I'm just going to be completely here, and I'm not, even though I'm connected to you, I'm not going to know I'm connected to you, and you're certainly not going to feel connected to me. So, you know, this practice to me is to sit on the cushion, get to know your true self, and then go out and help the world. I think somebody else said that. I don't think it was me. But I believe it, and I try to incorporate it into my life. Am I always successful? No. But I do try. You know, I do try. I was very, very involved here, and I stepped back because I was physically, I had some physical things that I needed to deal with. And I've done that. It seems like I'm on a better plane right now. Losing my brother was difficult, but I know that he's not suffering. But I realized after he died that probably the last 2 years, I've been really holding on, grasping, and that, and feeling guilty because I had moved away from Florida when my brother lived in Florida. And I didn't know that he had Parkinson's disease until 3 months after I moved here. And I was accused by his partner of knowing and leaving so I wouldn't have to take care of my brother. And that really hurt. And my husband's like, why? He said, you know that if you knew, you'd still be living in Florida. He said, just because somebody else says that about you doesn't make it true. And it wasn't true, but I was holding on to that because every time I was around this person, I could feel that he had this anger. And then I realized, anger covers up fear. Anger covers up fear. This man was afraid. And when my brother was diagnosed, Carol was living in Florida. Carol was taking care of her mother. Carol was taking care of her stepfather. My other brother had a flood. They moved in with me for 10 months. I was the caretaker. I was gonna be there. And that's what he thought. And then when I moved away, he said I abandoned my brother. I abandoned him. So I finally am at peace with that because I know who I am. And I'm also at peace with my brother because he would not have recovered from this fall and he would have been truly suffering. And so he's not suffering now. And I'm not suffering now because he's at peace and I'm at peace with it. And so, just if we can just stay in this moment and just try to help the next person we see. And if we are having problems, don't ignore them. Just look at them. And that's why we have people that are psychotherapists, because a lot of times we just can't take care of this on our own. I've said enough. I'm finished. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your
Thank you.
sharing and focusing on 4 great vows.
Thank you.
This,
Sorry.
sorry again. Thank you for your Dharma talk and for sharing and for kind of bringing more from Zen point of view how we approach 4 great vows. And of course, from the perspective of someone who could hear 4 great vows first time, it all sounds quite demanding and impossible. But if what you brought from Zen Master Wu Bong and from your own perspective, it sounds that if we manage to keep clear in the moment and keep clear direction, which is, I think, lifelong process, but we have as a human try mind, so we can we don't have to worry about impossible or possible, and equally we can approach 4 great vows as a kongan. If probably most of you experience kongan practice, which is very typical for Rinzai. Although I was hearing recently that Korean Rinzai is a little bit like connected with a life words Zen school which disappeared some time ago. And it's interesting that we can actually sit with 4 great vows, and we can approach from analytic point of view, of course, but also we can just sit like with any experience we have and try to digest. And this is our human great ability to bring anything what we face in our life to our own don't-know mind, which was mentioned by you. So don't-know mind is our, let's say, human treasure, and we should develop and in any way through Zen practice or I guess that, of course, other type of practice. So someone, I think, I don't know who was that, said, as you said, right now, if we are very clear, if we keep very clear, and if we keep correct situation, correct relationship, correct function, we already keep all 4 great vows, already all of them. So it's very, very interesting. So impossible become right now. We can actually do it. So I also appreciate you sharing about family and what we experience sometimes and what we can from somehow outside world, how we can be perceived, and how again connection with our true self and processing experience even is quite we experience sometimes very like rigid responses or sometimes very strong opinion. If we really have a time to digest, and that's what we do during practice, then we can be really connected with this experience, even if it's not easy, and we can rely on our true self, rely on our recognition, what we are actually doing. So just maybe finish this actually. If you have any questions about practice, and Master Seung San used to say, I try to attend any meeting with Zen Master Wu Bong since he started to come to Poland. So at least once a year I could see him, and when we had this type of quite traditional way of meeting, a public meeting with Dharma talk and question answer, he used to say any question can help not only the questioner but also can help other people. Is usually very inspiring. Sometimes we don't think about certain things, and so any question, and as I said, there is no big, no small question, no wise, no used to say no wise, no stupid, something like that. So that was usually his introduction. So if you have any question about practice, maybe Zen practice in day-to-day life, formal practice, or any question are welcome. Okay, popsanim. Bodhisattva question.
This thing? I understand that you have you're one of the few folks, and I guess that really enjoy bowing. And so I was wondering if you could tell us about bowing, how it helps, and that kind of a thing.
Thank you so much. Yes, I love to talk about that. So, since I met Zen Master Wu Bong, I was very young, and we in Poland we didn't have actually Zen Center, and the first place I came was rented, and then when I was ready to practice already, there was one small house, and we had very small room. And when Zen Master Wu Bong came first, second time, third time, because we didn't have a space and place to practice long retreats, he encouraged to do quite different things. So, like, for example, he said, you must do 1,000 prostration a day. And because there was actually somehow interesting time in Poland, so we were very committed to whatever he said, we tried to do it. So there was some followers who started to do 1,000 prostration a day, and then also because of probably lack of place to do. Sometimes we rent places from. There was Zen Master Philip Kaplo already group, so we sometimes another Zen Master. We sometimes rent places to do longer retreat. But although I think first 3 months retreat happened after I was maybe practicing 8 or 9 years already. So he encouraged us to do sometimes solo retreat, and he said one day I was not living in Warsaw, so I had to go quite like a long way. It was not fast train from northwest to Warsaw, and I shared with Zen Master Wu Bong through a translator. I couldn't speak English that time. My situation, and then he heard the situation, and he said, you must do 100-day solo retreat, and you must do during night 900 prostration, and when you wake up you have to do 108 prostration. So you need to at least do 1,000 prostration a day. I said yes, okay. The bigger problem was to actually find place for solo retreat, but he gave some kind of instruction. Also, he set up my schedule. That was super helpful. And after maybe I was practicing, let's say, maybe 5 years, so quite young practitioner. Then it was very helpful because he said you need to go to the mountain. Then mountain, and I never been to the mountain. It's very about 700 kilometers from the place where I live. But then I find the place, and prostration. Coming back to your question, prostration I find super helpful. So there was time when I was pregnant, and I was let's say advised to keep doing, basically slow down, not 1,000 a day. And then and there was when I get older and older, I start to talk to myself, you have to calm down a little bit, you have to really slow down, and which I did, and I stick to 324 prostration a day. And then, let's say, like maybe 5 years ago, I again talked to myself and decided to build up. So it was basically not very difficult. It was basically building up. So I tried to keep 540 a day. How is this helpful? I think many people are connected with meditation, sitting meditation. But maybe some people are not much connected with sitting. Some people really like, I'm very action people, really like to move and do some exercise and do basically lots of walking. So I really appreciate prostration, because I think I was the person who really like to do something in movement. So prostration really helped me. Although Zen Master Wu Bong, of course, explain what you are explaining when you first start to do, approach our school, that is a very good tool to build up our connection with our center. So we say in our, in Korean language, we say tanjeon. But also people who practice martial art, they know about hara. But they probably develop through exercise and sometimes meditation. So Zen Master Wu Bong used to say, very important, do prostration, then you center stronger, stronger, stronger. Very important, because then our energy, thinking energy, which is of course obviously accumulated in our head, that's our brain. And then emotional energy, when we feel emotion, we usually feel emotion in our neck, our shoulders, and our chest. And our heart, of course. So this is very normal, very actually healthy. But if we build up again and again, and we don't have a tool how to process, then we keep here, and we keep here. And then we may one day be overwhelmed. If we keep lots of emotion here, we may get panic attacks or big anxiety. So it's quite a healthy and easy way to bring our energy down. By not even thinking, we are bringing down. This is nothing like we think about. By doing prostration, our movement is leading not only our thinking and emotion, but also our breathing. So although when we sit, we sometimes are told to, clear mind, and some way of breathing. Sometimes we talk to breathe in and breathe out a bit longer. But when we do prostration, we don't really have to think about how we have to keep breathing. It's even better not to think about. It's basically doing, focusing on counting. And if you have any beats, sometimes you have this 108 or you have a smaller one, you can repeat mantra while you are doing prostration. And it's very good also to focus, because we can get lost with counting or repeating mantra, maybe not so. But specifically when we lead, sometimes when you became Dharma teacher or you lead some groups, you're gonna lead the prostration. So it will be your job to actually count you for everyone prostration, and maybe say at the end last one. And so it's very good to develop our concentration and our connection with our tanjeon, which is located just a little bit below our navel. Also helping our breathing get deeper, so we have enough oxygen in our system, so when we face the situation, we can get much clearer. So as we said at the beginning, and if we keep our mind clear in the moment, then we have a chance to recognize the situation without thinking and act accordingly. And even if we cannot, if we are lack of skills, which is obvious, sometimes we face very complex situation, we can still notice our mistake. So we develop at the same time our awareness. We say awareness or noticing. So it's very important to do prostration. Although if you cannot do full prostration, you can do standing prostration. And I remember when I start my first retreat, we actually wasn't told, like you have an option to do standing bow. We didn't have instructor, we didn't have actually Dharma teachers. When I joined first retreat, maybe there was people who was practicing maybe 3 years older than myself. 3 years more than myself. So they just say you have to do 108 pulsations. So you feel this pain, you know, the same day or the next day. But then, and if you continue, your muscle will get used to the movement. But sometimes we basically cannot do it. So it's still good to do, you know, this standing bow or sometimes sitting bow, and then just focus on our breathing. Or if you already do 100 days a day, because this is like we say, we do during retreat minimum 108 on the morning. This is the first thing we do on the morning during retreat. Then if you want to do more, then you just can build up, you know. Every day maybe 10 more, 20 more, and then you set up, maybe you want to do in 2 weeks 200 something, you know, and then continue just to build up. And sometimes Zen Master Wu Bong also was teaching about special practice. He calls special practice. So, for example, me going for solo retreat was special practice. Doing 1,000 or 500 bows is special practice. Means you can dedicate 49 days or 100 days to do that, and then slowly go down again. But I wouldn't suggest you, after 100 days solo retreat, you just go back to work and do nothing. You will feel this jump of energy somehow. So it's good to go slowly in both ways somehow, and not to stop practicing when you go out from retreat. Just continue practice and implement your practice to your day-to-day life, to your work, or to your, you know, whatever you do, study or being with your family. So thank you for this question. I'm excited to have this question. Any more questions?
Morning. As somebody with a lot of social anxiety, when I started coming here, I would show up about 5 minutes before we were about to begin. As soon as everything was done, I would run for the car. My preconception of together action is something along the lines of sitting down to share a meal with somebody. But the way I was approaching this together action when I first started coming here was more like eating alone in a crowded restaurant, kind of. I was wondering if you could talk some on what qualifies as together action and the value of that as a practice.
Oh, thank you. Very good question. Yes, thank you so much. I'm also not very relaxed person. And I see my family as well, you know, is kind of maybe karma, whatever. Although I think practicing and doing different things like self-development really helped me to contain my anxiety somehow. So is the first, when I had my ceremony, I talk about what attracted me to Zen practice. And I question, you know, each of us have different reason to join Zen practice. And this is usually very worth to write the book stories, and very, very interesting stories. So I wasn't, I think historically Poland at that time was in very difficult situation, but was actually heading to very interesting situation. So many young people want to actually do something, you know, different. And it was very interesting to meet Zen Master Wu Bong, to hear about Philip Kapleau, Roshi Philip Kapleau, and other Roshis. Was maybe 2 more groups and one Tibetan group as well. Actually, his teacher was coming from Sweden. And so I guess I was excited to hear, you know, about that, but I wasn't sure how to start. So it took me actually 2 years when I heard first time from an academical professor who was teaching literature. I detect some interesting way of teaching, which he never shared with anyone. He was just teaching, and I asked him, because he was teaching literature and a theoretical side of the literature. So I I asked him how you actually teach. I said, I explain everyone, how I teach. This is the theoretical. I said, I feel like there is something else, and he didn't want to tell me. And then and I understand after some time I understood his reason. It was the time when actually practicing religion, because it was still communist time in Poland, was not very was not prohibited, but it's kind of like a bit not very well perceived. And if you are the professor, university, was quite difficult for him. And I think he also wanted to keep the healthy boundaries. We say, he was actually practitioner in Philip Kapleau group, and he told me after I insisted, he told me, and he gave me to read the book 3 Pillars of Zen. So my first meeting with Zen was through the book of Philip Kapleau. And although I think I discussed with my professor, and he explained it a bit, but I think explanation was for me not the things I was ready to take, somehow. So it took me 2 years, and I went to through my friend. Actually, she was geography student, and she was traveling around, and she recommended to go to meet Zen Master Sung-san. And then I kind of met him, but I didn't have a chance to actually talk to him and even hear his talk, because I think I was late or something. But after another time, I decided to go sit retreat, and I was connected with my ending my I just gained my degree, and then I got the job as well very soon. And so I had 2 months break between ending my study and going to teach at school. And then so I decided to sit, and then I'm gonna go back to your question. So when I was sitting retreat, I was no teacher then. We were just sitting 7 days. We kept silence, and then we do together prostration. We chant together. But there was explanation how to chant. So we heard that we have to hear our voice and other people. We try to hear our voice and other people, as many as possible. And also when we do prostration, we try to do together the same up and the same down. And do together, follow the schedule, of course, and do work period at the same time. So in the moment when I was sitting, I would just follow, I would just follow. And then when I left, I noticed it was very attractive to me, very attractive, because I heard I could connect with people in different level. It was not through talking level, not through explanation, not through study or analyzing. It was just by action, by together action. And the silence was very unusual for me to keep silence. It doesn't mean like I don't like to keep silence. I quite like be by myself and keep silence, but it was very unusual to experience actually together silence. And so that was for me something I think I appreciate the most from practicing Zen. And I still feel like this is very important, like sangha support and silence practice, together action, and sometimes not talking, because what we do in day-to-day life, we talk a lot. We talk a lot, even now I talk a lot actually. And we experience a lot. Our senses absorb so many things every moment, through sound, sense, our ears, our eyes. And we talk about multitask, and we just so absorb. So really put this on side and just being in the moment, just experiencing something quite simple. And that's the point of retreat, being in very simple setting, although sometimes can be boring or sometimes can trigger something, because we can get in touch with something we didn't have actually time to get in touch. or we were so busy. And sometimes it's some big things, like we talk now about frozen grief, or we talk about frozen anger. So we keep in our body, we keep in our mind, and then all of a sudden we sit in silence. So we might be for some time overwhelmed by that. But this is the chance for us to actually put on side our activities and just to be. And this is what I feel like is very important, just to be, just to learn to be whatever we experience. And other people are, either they think about or they don't think about, they want to do or they don't want to do, but they are our supporters. Because we say together action is like having mirrors around. So we can, without any judgment, but we can see clearly, ourselves and outside, let's say outside, and we can easier become one. So this is the what the Heart Sutra is saying, how we can become one. And the big mantra, gate gate paragate parasamgate bodhisattva. I just discovered one word, it's like password to go from discriminative thinking to be one, which we all actually miss. We use different like substance or different activities to get to this point somehow, but this is quite limited, and in time and in how we can what we experience next. But actually, when we start to experience by being during retreat or continue our practice and bringing retreat mind to day-to-day life, then this being one became very natural. And we all really miss that. So this is my answer to your question, quite long. I don't know if that was helpful or, yeah. So I think trying, yeah. So that's all, yeah.
Tanzania, I just have a real quick one. Online, someone is asking, how do you cope with aging in connection with everyday practice?
Yes, that's a good question, and good for me as well, I experience sometimes this, let's say, call like self-talk, as I said about prostration, you might be careful, or sometimes hear from my son, are you okay? You do so many prostration or something. And then I think it's a middle way. So we by meditating, we are more connected with our body. And then sometimes in Master Sung San is teaching, when you sick, you are just sick. There is a story about that, but I don't think I have the time to talk about. When you're tired, go sleep. When you're hungry, eat. When you're thirsty, drink. So it's not only for people who get older, but also for anyone. Sometimes young people. We feel this. I don't feel anymore, but. We feel this very big energy. I can do everything. I can go. I can move. Mountains, and that's sometimes there to the overdoing. Same with work. We can get to the burnout in any age nowadays. We used to say like in mid-age people get to burnout, but I can see. As a counselor, as a therapist, people nowadays in their 20s can be burnout because sometimes not being much in touch with their needs, with their energy, limits, and then of course it could be very easily exploited by whom. So we have to care about our energy. And recognize what we can, what we cannot. Although sometimes it's quite difficult to accept our limits. Sometimes quite say, I can do whatever I want, I can still do. And that's okay, but also sometimes direction, we see someone is very worried about us and is telling us, you have to little bit like calm down, and are you okay with your work? Are you okay with this? Are you okay in a relationship? And I say, yeah, I'm fine, yeah. But somehow, of course, listening our true self, but somehow also be open to the world, you know, and the signals. And of course, when we get older, then probably our body is telling you, you know, you have some limit actually, but it's not only limited to the age, to be honest. So that's my answer. Thank you. So that's all. Thank you for your questions, and very good to see you.
Thank you, Dae An.
Thank you.
Carol. Thank you all for coming. This is great. I got a few announcements here, and we'll get you all out of here. July 6th to August 2nd, Summer Kyulche. It's at least a minimum of 3 days to attend. We come in on Saturdays and Wednesdays, I believe. Is that correct? Okay. Saturday and Wednesday. Saturday only. Oh, okay, my mistake. Okay, and Dae An is leading this week. And you can sign up for this event and get all the information about everything going on here at the Providence Zen Center .org. And on August 3rd and August 4th, after Summer Kyulche ends, we're going to have Founders Day, and this is in honor of Zen Master San. The rough outline is Saturday morning, we have the Founders Day ceremony. Saturday afternoon, the 45th anniversary celebration of BZC with entertainment and music. And then Sunday morning, we're going to have a precept ceremony. And we have a farmer's market each Sunday. It's going to be going on there right now. I think it might be, I don't know if there's much else outside or besides garlic right now, but So Young will know. And she may have some few vegetables. We have a recovery program that happens every Tuesday at 7. That's led by Carol's husband, Carol Boudreau. And I have to say those things are more attended than our Tuesday night practice. They're very helpful, I can tell. And this Wednesday evening, we have a public dinner. Meditation. Public dinner starts at 5:30. And then meditation orientation for anybody that's brand new. And then we do chanting and Zen meditation. And, oh yes, donations. I'm always supposed to mention that. We pretty much survive on donations here. And they're very important. So anything that you can help us with at any time, not just money, but also time too, it's very helpful. We really, really do appreciate it. And I think Danielle, you're in charge of the volunteer program, don't you? This is one. Danielle has come in and has gotten this thing organized, and it's wonderful. So if you would like to volunteer any time to helping us out, you can get hold of Danielle. And membership, that's another great way to support the Zen Center. And you can find out about all that online. And I think that's it. I think that's all we have. Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Yeah, I'm just gonna run out of there. I'm just gonna take my camera.